What is up everybody, it is me DevilNeverCry, and we are back with another Crisis Core reunion video, this time tackling the Superboss Minerva. And Superboss this definitely is. With a health pool of 10 million and some of the hardest hitting attacks in this game, this boss is nothing to scoff at. Just like the original Crisis Core, you're going to be in it for the long haul with this one. Fret not, however, as if you're following this video, I'll show you a build that will ensure you victory and a strategy which is easy to follow. I'll be starting this video by going over my builds and the strategy I used, along with any tips I may have to aid you. Now that that's out of the way, let's break things down. First and foremost, let's take a look at my materia. First off, you'll realize that regardless of the materia, most of them are going to be pumping my vitality and my spirit, and that's for a good reason. You're going to want to go into this fight with a maxed out spirit and vitality stat, both of them sitting at 255, otherwise everything the boss will do will pretty much one-shot you. You'll also notice that a couple of my materia are pumping my health up considerably. I suggest you enter this fight with a minimum of 80,000 HP. Ideally, you'd come into the fight with 99,999 HP, but if you fall somewhere in between 80,000 and that number, it's not the end of the world. Another must-have for this fight is the Costly Punch materia. It's going to be our breadwinner, our damage dealer. Every time we hit with Costly Punch, it's going to do 99,999 damage, the maximum possible. Considering that Minerva has 10 million in HP, we're going to have to hit with this attack roughly 100 times to down her. The cool thing about Costly Punch is that it doesn't rely on your stats whatsoever. I could go into this fight with an attack stat of 0 and I'd still be hitting for that same number. The trade-off for this, of course, is that Costly Punch uses your HP to attack. So if you're not careful and you're too aggressive with this move, you could land yourself in a really quick game over. And that conveniently brings us on to our next materia, which isn't necessarily a must-have, but is a definite recommendation, and that is Curaga. Other than full cure, this is the materia that's going to heal you the most, so I recommend you bring it. I ultimately don't end up using Curaga all too much, as I realize that I've accidentally stockpiled elixirs, so I start popping them like candy in the fight every time I take the slightest bit of damage. If you're able to bring in your own healthy stockpile of elixirs, then wonderful. If not, then it definitely isn't the end of the world, it just means that you can't be as aggressive when going for the kill. And speaking of items, this next one is definitely a must-have, and that is the Phoenix Downs. The Phoenix Down acts as a resurrection, a re-raise. Every time Zack dies, his health points hit 0, the Phoenix Down kicks in and revives him with full health, full MP and full AP. It is a literal godsend. And with a boss fight that lasts this long, featuring a super boss that can kill you quite quickly if your concentration lapses, it can definitely save you from a lot of frustration, which is why I recommend you come in with about 10 or so of them. I don't believe I ended up dying in this recorded run and using a Phoenix Down, and if I did, I'm almost certain somebody in the comments section now is writing up an essay, but just knowing that you have that buffer in the back of your mind makes this fight a whole lot more comfortable. Just don't get too comfortable, however, as unsurprisingly, the Superboss has a way around this, which I'll touch on in just a second. If you don't have a couple of Phoenix Downs to hand, then fret not, you still have a few options available to you. The first of which is to play better, of course, show the boss who really has the skill issue and do it without dying, which isn't all too hard provided you follow this strategy. The second of which is going into the fight with Steal or Mug. Surprisingly enough, Minerva actually has a substantial amount of Phoenix Downs that you're able to steal and mug from her, so if you want to employ that strategy, then go right ahead. With the materia done, let's briefly touch upon our accessories. The first one I have equipped is the Zedric accessory, which boosts our attack, vitality, magic, and spirit by 100, which is wonderful if you need that extra top-up to help you hit 255 in vitality and spirit. Next up, we have the Genji Glove, which allows us to break the damage limit, setting it at 99,999. Conveniently enough, it also allows us to hit every single attack as a critical attack. Then we have the Genji Shield, which keeps Barrier and Magic Barrier active at all times. It also allows us to absorb all elements, which will heal us, and it also nulls any and every status and ailment. And last but certainly not least, we have the Genji Armor, which breaks the health limit, setting it at 99,999, and conveniently constantly keeps Endure and Regen up all the time. So as you can see, Zack is entering this fight juiced up to the goddamn gills because he needs every advantage he can take. All of the accessories that I have equipped are late game / end game accessories, which doesn't necessarily matter all too much considering this is an end game fight. Now we can finally talk about the strategy, which is fairly straightforward. The first thing you're going to want to do in this fight is pop a Phoenix Down. In fact, it is imperative you have a Phoenix Down active at all times during this fight. We're then going to block whatever attack comes our way. It doesn't matter what attack Minerva throws out, they are all equally as deadly. Whenever we block an attack, it'll do between 2,000 and 5,000 damage, which is fairly manageable. Even if we tank the hit and don't block at all, it'll still only do anywhere around 13,000 damage. You can also opt to dodge Minerva's attacks, using the invincibility frames in the roll to evade all of the damage, but considering how little damage it does, it's not really worth it. And then once Minerva's done finishing her attack animation, we're going to rush in there with a costly punch. In fact, Minerva often leaves herself quite open, allowing you to hit her with 2 or 3 costly punches before she moves to relocate or charge up another attack. At which point, you're likely going to want to block or heal and then repeat ad nauseum. And then once we get a third of the way into Minerva's health is when the rubber really meets the road, and this is when you're going to find out if you're going to really be able to complete this fight. Once you take off a third of Minerva's health bar, she begins to charge up her special Judgment Arrow attack, which, by the way, completely removes your Phoenix Down, so if this thing is able to wipe out all of your health when it hits you, you're going to have to start the fight all over again from the beginning. What I did figure out, however, is that by decreasing the attack's effectiveness by 25% and then healing up to full health, I was able to just about tank the hit. Thanks to Costly Punch's lengthy attack animation, I was unable to decrease this attack's effectiveness by more than 50%. And even then, it still did a considerable amount of damage. Immediately after this attack is over, you're going to want to pop another Phoenix Down and an elixir immediately if you have one available. Minerva decides to repeat this process when she has a third of her health bar left, so do be careful. This is a simple war of attrition. As I previously mentioned, you'll need 100 costly punches to take Minerva down for good. So provided you're able to stay on top of your healing, get your attacks in when you need to, and block everything that comes your way, taking extra care when Judgment Arrow rolls around, you'll have this fight in no time at all. With all that said and done, that wraps up the build and the strategy. All that's left is the boss fight in its entirety, which I'll leave you with in just a second. If you found this guide to be helpful, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on the Crisis Core content that's to come. And now onto the fight itself. It has been me, DevilNeverCry. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.